Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome to Elko, Nevada. So, let's hop in. Let's get rolling. Man, I don't know what it is, I don't know what's going on, I'm just not myself lately. I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm a hot mess, but I'm like a lukewarm mess. We're taking pipe. We're taking 66,000 pounds of concrete tubes down to Eli. Let's get rid of that. This truck has it's got a sat nav in the dash, so we're trying to go without the mini map, without the navigator. So yeah, we're gonna try a short trip. I'm trying a lot of new things for the channel for 2019. I realize it's only like the first and a half week of the new year, so I haven't had a chance to do a lot of them yet. But I want to try some new things, and I am seeing a lot of new subscribers. So welcome to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. I'm concentrating, by the way. If this is your first time here, when Ill Will gets quiet like that, just means he's concentrating. Thank you, courteous motorist. Here we go. So yeah, I want to try some new things, and this trip down to Elko will be 197 miles, and it'll take about 15 minutes, 18 minutes maybe. So I guess that's what we're trying, is to do some shorter episodes. Moment. To do some shorter episodes. You know, when I started, I guess my goal was an hour, and I've realized obviously an hour is way too long. But then I was always trying to push it. You know, I'd aim for 30 minutes and I'd end up at 45, and by the time you're at 45, it's like, well, shoot dang, why don't we just go an hour? But an hour is too long. I think half an hour is exactly right, but I'm going to experiment. I'm going to experiment a little bit and see if, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes works for you as well. Because really, this has to work for you. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for me. And my only caveat, like my only qualification for that, is it's got to be, the content has to be something that I believe in, and I really do love simulation gaming, so I certainly believe in that. No problems there. But if you were like, oh, you know, play those horror games with the jump scares, you know what I mean? Not really my thing. That could be what you want more than anything, and at that point it's like, you might be at the wrong channel. So I guess when I say if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for me, I mean within the context, obviously, within the framework of simulation gaming. But I want to experiment a little bit and find out what really works for you, because it's this YouTube, it's a fun problem to solve. It really is. And I feel really fortunate that moment. Oh yeah. I feel really fortunate that there is an audience for simulation gaming. I think that's super cool, because it's something I really enjoy. So if I can share it with you, if this can be our thing that we do, I think that is just super, super cool. I really do. So there was no ATS episode last week. I want to say, yeah, there was no ATS episode last week. It was a bad week for me right after the new year. Not bad. I mean, I know people are having some really bad weeks. It wasn't a bad week like that. It was just like, what the hell? Like, I completely lost my mojo. I've still mostly lost it. I haven't got it back yet. But last week I was absolutely out of my mind. So I tried a couple times to record an ATS video, and both times it was no good. And it's crazy because, you know, I want you to hear the best of me. And I don't know, I mean, I don't really nerd quit. I don't really rage quit too often. Sometimes, you know, sometimes things get really, really frustrating, and sometimes it's like, okay, so that truck that just passed us, Rayleigh's is a real-life Northern California only grocery store chain. That is a nice detail. I love it. I don't know if you're ever gaming and it just starts to stack up, you know? It's just like one thing after another thing after another thing, to the point where you're like, can I just play my game? Can we just get all the problems sorted out and be done with it, and then I can play my game? And the game is like, no, that can't happen. Not going to happen today. And that's when, you might start to rage if you're that kind of a personality. It takes a lot for me, but I can eventually just be like, God damn it, son of a, and I don't want to game anymore. And the crazy thing about making YouTube videos is, after that happens, I have to like take a deep breath, start again, and be all, hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. And it's been a learning curve for sure to be able to do that. But last week, I just couldn't get there. I had tried so many times to record the same episode, and it was just, oh, are you kidding me? No, apparently you are not kidding me. Like, it's really, this is happening. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I figured, rather than make a big old poo, let's just skip a week. And you know what? It's weird because my numbers were really down over the holidays. I feel like a lot of people were not, they're spending time with family or they're partying or whatever. And I feel like maybe people weren't spending as much time on YouTube over the holidays as I thought they might. Make sure we're in the right gear here. As I thought they might. And that's cool, not a problem at all. But it was probably a good week to have a bad week. If that makes sense. Yeah, I think it does. So anyway, there was no ATS video last week, and it's weird because a big part of, I realized that I've sort of gotten into a flow. I got a flow, and my flow is I talk a lot about gaming while we drive the truck. A little bit about, life and the mysteries of the universe, etc. But I talk a lot about gaming, and there's just not a lot going on in gaming right now, and I think that was part of it as well, is a couple times I started recording and it's like, well, now what the hell do I talk about? Because I feel like if we start talking about gaming and then we kind of drift and talk about other things, that's totally cool. But I don't want to just get in the truck and be like, so, Keynesian economics, what's your take? That doesn't work. So, but there's really nothing going on for January. I haven't heard anything about ProMods 2.33 on the ETS side. I haven't heard anything about the next state DLC on the ATS side. Let me slow down a little bit here, right about there. Set the old cruise control, put her in overdrive, and we're good to go. So yeah, I have not heard what the next state is. I'm on the fence. I feel like it's almost has to be the mountain states, which is Utah and Colorado and Idaho. Maybe even up to the Canadian border. I feel like it just has to be. I feel like Texas is too big. Oh. Texas is too big, right? It's a lovely place, but it's gigantic. And Washington is just like Oregon. So I feel like both of those would be, now SCS, they can do whatever they want. They could throw me. They could button hook me, do a little switcheroo. But I'm betting on the mountain states. That's my guess. I could be wrong. I just feel like if it was Texas, it would be, I don't know, it would be a while after Oregon. Now, admittedly, whatever the next DLC is, they've been working on it for probably a year already. So it's not like they didn't start till the day after the Oregon DLC dropped. I get that. But I just feel like Texas would be such a massive undertaking, I mean, I would like to see it as a DLC, but who knows? We'll find out. But I haven't heard anything about what the next DLC is going to be. And the same on the ETS side. Now, I'm wondering at what point is SCS going to have a proper Russian DLC? And how deep into the country is that going to go? Like, how deep into the interior of Russia? Obviously, we would want to go all the way to Moscow. So we would be... what, from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea? Well, really from like is that the Arctic Sea? Up, like way up north? So we'd start way up north and we'd go all the way down to like Odessa, right? Like down to the Ukraine. And that would be top to bottom, but how far in would we go? Whoa! Easy player. How far in would we go? I don't know. Because from what I know about Russia, and I don't know a lot, I don't know a lot about a lot of things. What I don't know could fill a hat. It's my understanding that once you get east of Moscow, there's really nothing till you hit Japan, right? Like, it's a whole lot of nothing. And that's cool. The same thing is true in the United States. I mean, from, I don't know, arguably from like Kansas to like, I don't know, Los Angeles. There ain't a whole lot. Now, I kid. There is actually a whole lot in there. There's a lot of beautiful country. I lived in Colorado. Obviously, Colorado is between Kansas and LA. But there are extraordinarily beautiful places and wonderful, thriving, vibrant cities between Kansas and LA. I don't get mad. But there's also a whole lot of nothing. So I'm curious, like, what would the interior of Russia look like as far as a DLC? Because on the mod side, you know, people make these Russian maps and it's like bumpy, rutted, muddy roads that just go on for like years. They're endless. So I don't know. I mean, do you think SCS would do something like that from the factory? Right? Like from the developer? Moment, please. But you see what I'm saying. I don't know if they would or not. I think it would be fun, and it would certainly be different. It would be different than anything that's available right now as far as developer content. But I don't know. I don't know if they would do that or not. But other than that, I mean, I guess they could go into Spain would be the other option, right? Because we're down into France now, Viva la France. So then if we got into Spain, that's basically the whole side of Western Europe, right? Because they got everything from the UK to Poland and from Scandinavia to Italy. So that's pretty much all of Western Europe. So I don't know. I mean, I do think in time, if we give SCS enough years to develop the sim and enough of our money, I think it could someday be like Global Truck Simulator. Now, they could button hook me again, same as they would on the ATS side. They could button hook me again, and they could release like Japanese Truck Simulator, right? Which I think would be beautiful. Or Indian Truck Simulator. I know the sim is very popular in Turkey, so they could do like a Turkish Truck Simulator, right? Did I say Japanese Truck Simulator? For some reason, I think I said bus. I do that sometimes. Well, either way, there's no bus simulator. Well, there's a bus simulator, but SCS doesn't make it. You know what I mean. If I said bus simulator, I apologize. I meant truck simulator. But they could do Japanese Truck Simulator. They could certainly do an Indian Truck Simulator. They could do a Turkish Truck Simulator. I think if I was running SCS, I would say Japan, even though India and Turkey are big markets as far as gamers. I feel like that content is so specific. Like European trucks, I think everybody likes European trucks. American trucks, I think a lot of people like American trucks. I don't know if as many people would want to get down with Turkish trucks. And there's nothing wrong with Turkey, right? But you see what I'm saying. I just think the Japanese trucks with the lights all over them, maybe a little bit more accessible. Maybe. I don't know. But that's a possibility also, because then you're coming at it, you know what I mean, from the east and the west, and you just start working your way in. So who knows? But I do think in time, this will be, it'll just be Global Truck Simulator. And the manufacturers that are available and the locations that are available will span the globe, and it'll just be lovely. I think. Now, here's a question for you. At what point does ETS become ETS 3, right? Because it's ETS 2 now. And ETS 1 wasn't ETS 1 literally like Scania Truck Simulator? I'm not being an ass when I say that. Like, wasn't it just a Scania simulator? Right, then we got ETS 2 with these other brands. At some point, they will have to go to ETS 3. Now, there's the question. what content is going to be included. Because if you've spent years playing ETS2 and if you've bought all their DLC, right, and they release ETS3 and it's just like Germany, France, Holland, right? Well, I guess it wasn't even really France. It was, what was it? It was just the UK. No, was the UK an expansion? I think the UK came in a patch. But I think originally European Truck Simulator was just like Germany and Holland, and right? Tell me if I'm wrong on that, but I think it was a pretty limited area, and then there were some non-paid patches, like not DLC, but wasn't there a patch that added the UK? Maybe I'll go back and look at the patch notes. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, let's say we start again, right, with ETS3. You think they'd do that to us? You think they would start again with just a very small basic map? I mean, in a way they would have to, because the alternative would be they would need to have pretty much everything that we're spoiled on included in the base game. And I do hear, I just transitioned from, okay, all right, I'm hustling. I did just transition from Ride 2 to Ride 3. And a lot of the negative comments about Ride 3 were, where are the bikes from Ride 2? Right? There's a lot of bikes missing. And the consensus was that Milestone, is it Milestone that makes that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. That Milestone would release bikes that you had already like ridden in the sim, gotten used to, fell in love with. They would release those as paid DLC because they have a lot of like $5 DLC with 5 motorcycles in it. And people were kind of grumbling about that. Like, why would you take away bikes that we've already ridden and already paid for? Everything from Ride 2, including the DLC, should have been included in Ride 3, and then there should have been new stuff that we would be expected to buy. And that's a valid point. I think that's a totally valid point. Now, on the train sim world, you know, Dovetail makes Train Simulator and then the year, so Train Simulator 18, Train Simulator 19, etc. They also make Train Sim World now. And I guess that's a good example because, oh, I should probably stop for that red light. Because I think Train Sim World is sort of the, like the spiritual successor to the Train Simulator series, right? And it just came with one route and one or two locomotives, and that was the CSX heavy haul route. And then you bought DLC from there, and their DLC is expensive. It's between like $20 and $30 per pop, and they do a lot of them. Dovetail does a lot of DLC for train simulators. So, you know, maybe SCS would go that route. Maybe they would just release European Truck Simulator 3, and it really would be like starting over, and then you have to buy all those DLC again. I think it's a slightly different crowd, though, and I think what's different about it is on the train simulator side, you have different parts of the world, you have different eras, right? There are DLC that represent like different periods in time, and then you have different rolling stock and different, right? It's really, really different, like one from another. So on the train simulator side, not TSW, but on the train simulator side, if you're just into whatever, German railroads, you only buy the DLC for German railroads. Or if you're into whatever, UK, United States, whatever, you just buy those DLC. All right, that's cool. But I feel like with Truck Simulator, they could not use that dovetail model because Europe is just Europe, right? It's not like anybody that's into ETS2 doesn't like a particular DLC because they're just not into that country. Well, I take that back. I'm sure there are people that feel that way. But you know what I mean, right? Like if you're into collecting Train Simulator DLC, maybe you just want Steam, or maybe you just want, you know what I mean? Maybe you just want bullet trains. So you don't have to get everything. And it's really not continuous or contiguous, as the case may be. Like, it's not linked up. You know, if you get a UK railroad, it doesn't connect to a Japanese railroad, obviously. But you see what I'm saying? So I don't know if SCS would be able to use that same model of we'll just release a base game and you buy whatever you want, because I think most ETS 2 players want everything. So I really am curious. When they go to ETS 3, I'm curious whether they will include all the current DLC as drivable areas, or whether we'll have to start over. An argument could be made for either, but we'll see. We'll see. And apparently, SCS was a really small studio when they started working on this franchise. They were like 8 people or 10 people or something, and now they're like 80. So, good on them, man. That's growth. I'm going to show them in the right gear here. When you go without the mini-map, you have to look at the dash to know what gear you're in. You know, I wouldn't mind either from base game or if somebody modded. But what? Oh, come on, man. That's... Oh, okay. I was swinging it wide. I feel like I always get a ticket lately. I would like it if somebody modded, or if it was base game content, that would be even better. That you can turn off the mini-map. You can turn off the navigator. But you would have the option to have like a semi-transparent gear indicator. And I think it would be fantastic if it was like an actual little gear stick, or the top of a gear stick, in the appropriate location to show you what gear you were in. Because the thing about driving a stick, whether it's a big stick or a little stick, is you know where it is by looking at it, and also by remembering where you put it last. But you can sort of, because you've got your hand on it, you know what I mean? You sort of, that's like, you get that tactile feedback as far as where you put it last. So I feel like with the truck, it's not, I wouldn't say it's unrealistic, but you know what I mean, that we have to like see a digital number to know what gear we're in, because there's no other like feedback to tell us. You get what I'm saying? Not a big deal. Not the end of the world. Oh, okay. Okay. Whoa. That seems wrong. Is that wrong? Yeah, that's wrong. We can't. I mean, I can't back these trailers in. Let's try this. Try this. I'm waiting for a little dialogue to pop up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to skip it. I hate to do that, and it's very sudden. It's a very sudden end to the episode, so I apologize for that, but there was no way I was going to be able to back those in there, and I don't know if there was even a place for me to turn around. So, before everything goes all tits up, let's just wrap it up and have a nice episode. And we did. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.